I'm Tina McAndrew. I'm the director of the Randall Library, and we're here tonight for our 30th session of Sustainable Stow. Just some housekeeping, if you wouldn't mind keeping yourself muted until the end when you have a question, or if you have a question during the presentation, please feel free to put it in the chat. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to the town administrator, Denise Demkowski.
Thanks, Tina. Good evening, everybody. I am thrilled to be here tonight for the formal introduction of the Climate Action Plan and the Energize Stow website. I have been working closely with the Green Advisory Committee since its inception back in the fall of 2021. Over that time, the town has made huge strides in terms of sustainability, adopting the Stretch Energy Code, a municipal fossil fuel policy, and the Specialized Energy Code. And now we have the Climate Action Plan. Each step we take moves us another step forward in reducing greenhouse gases and lays the foundation for a greener future for our residents and for generations to come. Before I turn it over, I would like to thank the members of the Green Advisory Committee who have dedicated so much time to developing this plan and working towards a more resilient Stow. So now I am pleased to introduce Arnie Epstein, who will take you through the Climate Action Plan.
Well, thank you, Denise. Yes, I'm Arnie Epstein. I'm the chair of the Stow Green Advisory Committee, and I'll be introducing Stow's Climate Action Plan tonight. So if you'll give me a minute, I will share screen. So I hope you're all seeing the first slide of my presentation. So for a little bit of background, just to introduce the context for the Climate Action Plan, we are currently experiencing the impacts of climate change, and they are increasing annually. In the news, we hear about more forest fires, droughts, hurricanes, floods, and breaking new temperature records. Here in Stow, we have milder winters, earlier springs, and hotter summers, as well as increases in vector-borne diseases such as Lyme disease. In response to the climate crisis, the state passed landmark legislation in 2021 with aggressive targets to both combat climate change and to become more resilient and adaptive to the impacts of climate change. The following year, our select board determined that Stow should actively contribute to meeting the state's climate goals and established the Green Advisory Committee to advise and work with town government, residents, volunteer groups, and businesses to help Stow meet these goals. Working with stakeholders, including a survey with input from over 300 residents, the Green Advisory Committee developed the Stow Climate Action Plan, which was adopted by the Select Board this past June. So what we found is that Stow residents have already been taking action, and this slide is a sample of the actions that we found that Stow residents have already undertaken. I'd like to highlight the last bullet on this page on vehicles. In looking at the number of Stow residents who've now adopted either all-electric or plug-in hybrid vehicles in 2024, we also look back to 2020, which is the earliest date that the Mass Department of Transportation has records. And in that year, the number was 102. So you can see that over that short period of time, we've had over a threefold increase in the number of all-electric or plug-in hybrid vehicles. And I think that shows that we are already becoming a climate leader. Town government is setting an example. Denise mentioned a few of the things that the town has done. I've listed a few others on this slide. In addition to supporting the state's climate goals, town government has been taking concrete steps towards meeting these goals, some of which are listed on this slide. Stow was the 16th community in the state, and there's 340 communities, to adopt the new specialized energy code, which will ensure energy efficient new construction and promote all electric new buildings. The town has been awarded over $2 million in state grants in support of our efforts. This includes $500,000 towards the renovation of Randall Library and a $1.1 million grant towards climate resilient restoration of Stow Acres. Not on this list is Stow's application to be designated one of the first climate leader communities in the state. This new program is accepting the first round of applications this year. We believe that with the progress the town has already made, Stow will be successful and will receive additional state support towards meeting our climate goals. While we've made progress, there is much more to be done. This figure illustrates total townwide greenhouse gas emissions in 2017, the bar on the left, and our 2030 target, the bar on the right. As you can see, this is broken down by sectors, but the bottom line is between 2017, which is our baseline for greenhouse gas emissions, and our 2030 goal. To achieve that goal, we need approximately a 1/3 reduction in townwide emissions. Here's another way to look at the town's greenhouse gas emissions by sector, and it's broken down by residential, commercial and industrial, and municipal. And you can see from this slide that over 80% of townwide emissions are residential, primarily our homes and vehicles. And so it is apparent that the whole town needs to be engaged if we are to achieve our target. This is a slide showing our top-level strategy for achieving our target. This is also a slide shared by the state in their own climate action plan, and I'll walk through it fairly quickly. Starting from the left, there must be a reduction in the use of fossil fuels, gasoline, fuel oil, natural gas, and propane. Burning these fuels is the primary source of carbon dioxide, the major greenhouse gas responsible for climate change. Switching from a car powered by a gasoline engine to an electric vehicle or plug-in hybrid, and replacing all or most of your home heating fuel with an electric heat pump are major steps towards reducing fossil fuel use. Moving to the second box on that slide, we need to reduce our overall energy consumption through improved energy efficiency. For transportation, this can be in the form of alternate forms of getting to your destination, such as biking, or a more fuel-efficient vehicle, such as a hybrid, all-electric, or plug-in hybrid vehicle. For our homes, we can focus on insulation and air sealing to both reduce the energy use for heating and cooling, as well as providing a more comfortable and affordable living space. Third, as we transition away from fossil fuels to electricity as our primary source of energy, we must ensure the production of electricity doesn't itself generate greenhouse gas, as when coal, natural gas, or oil are used for the generation of electricity. Our utility, Hudson Light and Power, provides some of the cleanest electricity in the state. Another step you can take is to generate your own clean electricity with rooftop solar. Finally, we must also remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, the primary greenhouse gas. This is called carbon sequestration. Our forests and other open spaces are natural ways to sequester carbon. Among the many benefits of our town forests is carbon dioxide removal. It is estimated that a quarter of our greenhouse gas emissions are offset by our town forests. The Stow Climate Action Plan is organized around the 5 sectors shown on the left-hand side of this slide: buildings, transportation, energy, natural solutions, and adaptation and resilience. We hope you find the plan to be informative, accessible, and engaging. The plan includes the contribution to climate change from each of these sectors and actions to reduce their impact. We will be monitoring and reporting on our progress and update the plan as needed to reflect challenges and accomplishments. Success depends on all of us. I hope this presentation has made it clear that we must all be engaged to succeed. Some suggested actions you can take are listed here. The Green Advisory Committee has a page on the town website with links to each of these activities listed on this slide. Next, we will be hearing about the new Energize Stow website, which provides information on practical actions each of us can take. And with that, I will stop share and turn it over to Jen.
Thanks, Arnie. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Sylvester, and I'm a resident of Stow, and I'm excited to share with you tonight my experience using as a user, an active user of the new website that is available to anyone to register for via Energize Stow. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and you should be able to see a Google web page. This is one way where you can Google and access the link to the Energize Stow website. Or I'm going to put into the chat here as well for those of you on the call today, so that you can access the website right now at your convenience. So I'm just going to type that into the chat right now. All right, so you should be able to see it there if you're logged into the webinar this evening, but if you're watching at a later date, if you go to a web browser, you can easily type in Energize Stow and you will find that it should pop up near the top of your web browser for you to easily click on. Or there's also other ways that you can view this website through various newsletters or on the town website. So to take you through how easy it is to use this site and why I use this site, I'll bring you to the home page here, which is the main landing page when you log into the site. And as a resident of Stow and in support of the climate action plan that Arnie was just talking about, we all need to get involved in any way that we are able to as residents of Stow to help meet the goals that we have as a town and as a state to help with mitigating climate change and fossil fuel reduction activities. So this website is a really great tool to help you and your family understand what kinds of activities you can do in your own home and your own lives, and then plan that journey as you go forward in your life to plan what kinds of activities you can do now and then future activities as well. So when you when you land on this web page, there is a welcome site here. If you scroll down, if you'd like to read at your leisure more information about the behind the scenes of why this website came to fruition. So Arnie mentioned the Stow Green Advisory Committee and the Climate Action Plan, and it's a joint effort with the other group in town called Sustainable Stow, where residents are able to join and help take action together to find ways to improve sustainability in your own life and in other lives of folks in Stow. So feel free to peruse this welcome site and learn more about why it was created. But I'm going to go back to the home page here. So I'm just going to click on the home button. And one way to make sure that you can keep track of the actions that you've taken, as well as plan out future actions for yourself and your family, is to join this site. And it's really easy to do so. So up here in the right-hand corner, there's a sign in/join button. I do recommend that you use the with email and password function that pops up here on the screen so that you can log back in anytime you want to see what kinds of actions you can take next. You can also view this very easily on your cell phone. I have often done that route myself. I'm currently using my computer as well. So whatever works easiest for you and your lifestyle, you can access this site easily. So I'm going to click on with email and password, and it's going to, I already have my email and my password saved, so I just have to hit sign in. And so it's really, really easy for me to access the page. So when I get onto the web page here, we discussed the welcome section. This take action section is a really great one for you to check out next. So I just clicked on that icon and it will take you to this other page that loads a number of different activities that you can utilize in your own home or in your own life to help contribute to being more sustainable and towards the home energy efficiency targets and the transportation targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions that Arnie was mentioning earlier in this presentation. So you'll see that you can scroll down and there's a number of different actions you can take here to, depending upon your lifestyle, your budget, and your family's priorities, you can check out this list to see what works for you. One of the Arnie mentioned a couple activities, one of which was installing heat pumps in your home, which is something I have done in my own home here in Stow, since, like Arnie mentioned, Hudson Light and Power's generation of power comes from quite clean sources, and the cost for electricity in Stow is also quite affordable. So I converted my home to heat almost exclusively with heat pumps instead of using my oil heating system, and that has saved my family a lot of money. It added air conditioning to my house, which was helpful too, so I didn't have to use all the window units, and keeps me and my family nice and warm in the wintertime and nice and cool in the summertime. So I have marked that action as done, but if you have not yet done it and you would like to do it, you can mark it as to do. And if you'd like to learn more about what installing heat pumps means, there's a little info button that you can click on, and it will take you to this page here that has a description of what heat pumps are and how they can help reduce carbon emissions and help save you money. There's some steps to take in order to help you with planning how to install heat pumps in your home. If it's an appropriate type of heating system for your particular house, you can read all about how to go about installing the heat pumps in your home. There's also some great testimonials here that you can read from other users of the site who have taken this action in their own home. So you can learn about how they feel about the activity that you are looking at. So I'm going to click back onto the all actions button for now. So there's also installing solar, like Arnie mentioned, insulating and air sealing your home, eating a plant-based diet. That's something I've taken up over the last few years myself personally. Composting, I do that at my home, switching out your lighting to be all LEDs. And then there's some activities that, I have marked here as to do for my husband and I to, talk about and consider when it's right for us to make the investment for our family to switch to those. But I wanted to also mention, as soon as you sign up and as soon as, you're watching this webinar, you've actually already taken 2 actions. So just by logging into the site and setting up a password, if you've taken an action, so you can mark yourself done there. Also watching the Sustainable Stow recording here, if you're not logged in tonight, or if you are watching it live, you can also mark that as done. One thing I wanted to call out for the Sustainable Stow Randall Library webinar series that we have is all of the webinars are recorded, and you can easily access any of the previous talks that we've had, climate talks that have been posted via YouTube. So if you come into that action, you can see here where it says find a list of climate talks. If you click on where it says climate talks, it will take you to this YouTube page. And there's a whole bunch, tonight is number 30 of the webinars that Sustainable Stow has partnered with the Randall Library to offer. And you can find the previous ones here over on the right hand side of the screen for you to watch as your time allows. So a couple other things I wanted to point out to everybody as you're getting familiarized with this site and using it is there's a tab up here at the top called Events. If you click on that, it will take you to a page that's constantly being updated by the Sustainable Stow members of great events that you can mark your calendar with and participate in. So tonight, the September 18th, is this particular webinar that we're talking on right now. On September 30th, there's an EV driver meetup. If you have an EV or if you want to come learn about EVs, it's a great event for you there. There's also a heat pump event. So if you're interested in learning more to see if heat pumps are right for your home, you can click on that event and RSVP. So feel free to check out the events page too to help you in your journey to find ways to be more sustainable and reduce greenhouse gas emissions in your own home and your own personal life. Another thing I wanted to point out is if you go up to the top here to the actions drop down, there's also a testimonials page here. So if you click on testimonials, the page will load and you can change the category. So there's a lot of different ways that we as residents can find opportunities to be more sustainable and more efficient in our lives. So feel free to click on a category that you're really interested in, and you can start to see some of the testimonials from users on this site to help guide you in figuring out your interest and ability to move forward with that action. And we welcome any kinds of comments. People, you might have had you want to share what your experience was like and give recommendations for people on how to do things differently than maybe you had done yourself, to just help people navigate the actions that they can make. Feel free to create your own testimonial as well once you've taken an action, so you can help guide others in figuring out if that action is one that they can take in their own lives. Lastly, I would like to point out, I think of this as a fun site, and Sustainable Stow does too, one that you want to continue to access and update to help you in your journey to be more sustainable, and remind you of the actions that you have committed to doing, or show ones that you've done. You can also make it a fun team experience if there's anyone like a local PTA group or your neighborhood, if you want to get together and make this a fun way to track who's doing what in in their lives. You know, there's a Boxborough Road group here. There's a select board group, a sustainable Stow group. So you can create your own team and encourage other folks within your team network to join and track each of your actions together that way. So that's just a fun little interactive way you can utilize the website as well to help you and your fellow team members. I think I believe I forgot to mention one topic that I wanted to point out. So I'm going to click back into the actions, and I clicked into the insulate and air seal your home. This is my to-do list over here. So this shows me, and I can be like, oh yeah, I need to talk to my husband about, switching our lawn equipment to be electric fueled instead of gas fueled, and talk about how we can purchase those products. We have a couple so far, but not all of our lawn equipment has been converted to electricity yet. So that's another, this is a helpful way to remind me what's on my to-do list. And another one is I'm currently heating my water heater with oil. I would like to get some quotes for installing a heat pump water heater so that it's utilizing electricity instead. So that's something I'm like, oh yeah, I can come back in here, and it helps remind me what I need to continue to work on my to-do list. So that's a really helpful way that I think folks can utilize this site as well. So lots of great uses for this site to help you and your family and your journey to be more sustainable and help contribute towards the climate action plan for the town of Stow. And I hope everybody, can take advantage of the site. It's no cost. It's really easy to sign up. And the link is in the chat if you would like to sign up yourself tonight. And thank you everybody for your time.
Great. Thank you, Jen. One thing I would want to mention though, some of these actions are just really, they're big decisions. So if you would show your site again, Jen, that would be great.
Sure thing.
If you go to the action, and let's take the heat pump example that you did. Okay, as Jen went through the description, which is just a general description and steps to take, the testimonials, there's also a deep dive section, which gives you a lot of information that for those who are thinking about that as a big decision, and you just have more questions, this will help you, and it gives you links that you could go out to find more information. So that is a much deeper discussion of that particular action. So I just wanted to mention that section.
Thank you. I really appreciate you calling that out. I'm going to check the deep dive section out myself.
Okay, are there any questions that people have about either the action plan or the Energized Stow site? I don't see any in the chat. People can, we're a small group. People can certainly raise their hand or unmute and ask their question. Well, if there are no questions, I do have one question I'd like to throw to Jen. When you first came into the site, what really was the most exciting or engaging thing for you when you first came into it?
When I first logged in, I'm constantly looking for ways that I can take action in my house, in my own life. And so I found that the take action button was really easy to access here in the middle of the screen, but it's also available at the top of the screen. And having all of these actions laid out here in one place was really easy for me to understand exactly what actions existed. There's a nice little photo that I thought was really helpful for me to visually see the difference between each one. So I found that to be the easiest and most engaging point of when I first joined onto the website with my login and password.
Great. And then I have a question for Arnie. When you think about the climate action plan, you mentioned the different categories that was in the climate action plan. Have you prioritized any of those? Has the Green Advisory Committee prioritized any of those sections or strategies about what should do next?
Well, I think there's different ways of looking at each of the sectors we sort of briefly went over. In terms of greenhouse gas emissions, the building sector and the transportation sector are almost identical. And as I think I explained in an earlier slide, the overwhelming majority of the emissions from those two sectors come from our own vehicles and our own homes. So those two, certainly rank near the top. Natural solutions, and just the one aspect that I focused on was carbon sequestration, and how the forests can act to actually draw down carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. For Stow in particular, is extremely important. I think the point being, and I don't think I mentioned that during the presentation, is that we don't expect, and neither does the state expect, that we'll entirely eliminate all greenhouse gas emissions by the end date of the plan. And so there will be some so-called residual emissions that need to be offset through this ability of forests to sequester carbon. So I'd rank that very high as well. And then adaptation and resilience. Clearly, we're already at the point where climate change is impacting us. I think it's fair to say that it will be even a larger impact in the years to come. So we have to be planning for being a resilient town and being able to adapt to the inevitable changes that we will experience through climate change in the coming years. So don't know if that answered your question, Sharon, but I think they're all very important, and I wouldn't want to sort of point out one as being the top priority. I think if someone has a particular interest or passion in one area or the other, I definitely recommend that they go for it.
Yeah. So slightly tangential. You mentioned this other program that we are applying for, the Climate Leaders Program. What advantages would that, if we get that designation, what advantages would that give the town?
Okay, well, first of all, I think, one thing, we became a green community sort of midway through the process of the towns, of the communities in the state be getting that designation. I'm not sure where we were, but the program itself, I think, started back in 2008. We got our designation in 2015. So we weren't one of the first. We weren't one of the leaders at that time. If we get this designation, and I think we will, in the first year of the Climate Leaders Program. I think, among other things, that would demonstrate that Stow really has become a climate leader within the state, and something that we can be proud of as residents and that other towns can learn from. But in addition to that, becoming a climate leader qualifies the town to receive additional grants, such as the ones that I outlined earlier in the presentation. So as a climate leader, grants like the one that we received for Randall Library would be available to our schools, Hale and Center. We would also, the Climate Leaders Program also spreads a larger umbrella as a green community, where the focus mostly has been on municipal energy use and emissions. As a climate leader, that's broadened to the entire town. So there's opportunities for us to get support from the state for residents to do the types of actions that Jen was just outlining in the Energize Stow website.
Great, thank you. Again, I open it up for any other questions people may have of either Arnie or Jen. Okay, seeing none, I hope you all go to join Energize Stow and take a look at that, and certainly go to the town website and look at all the resources that Arnie mentioned in terms of the climate action. I'd like to just thank both Denise for taking time to introduce this session, for Arnie and his presentation, and Jen for sharing her experience with Energize Stow. And with that, I wish you all a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See you
Sharon.
next time.